right, first record on the new screen. All right, so I don't like, just so you know, the screens are different. Okay, all right. So first off, come on now. Here we go. First off, we take this and we factor out an x squared. That leaves me with x minus 6. Correct? Okay. Then out of this one, we take a 4. Okay, so then we factor out an x minus, see, this is that's the issue that's going to come up with this thing. It didn't lift high enough. So let's restart.
So you literally have to
have to lift off. Yes, I have to come off the screen. And like earlier today, Mrs. Hill's shirt was creating little dots below here because her sleeve, she's got big sleeves on today. Yeah. So there's that.
So it's that sensitive?
Yeah. That's good. Good? Fantastic. Okay. Now, today we're going to explore the 6th way, which is factoring with cubics. Okay? For perfect cube factoring today. So, what I would like you to do now is I'd like you to look at those two graphs and answer these questions down here at the bottom. Okay? Okay, so what do I know about x cubed plus 8?
Inverse x minus 2. You know the degree.
I know the degree. The degree is odd degree, so it's going to go either way, right? Okay, so the ends are going to go in either direction, which means it's got to cross once, right? So there's at least one 0 in it, okay? And what is that 0? That 0 is -2, okay? Because it crosses at the point -2, 0. Right? Okay? So what factor produces that 0?
X plus 2.
X plus 2 produces that 0. Okay? Taking that to the next one. X cubed minus 27. Again, odd degree. Going to go in opposite directions. It's got to cross the x-axis at least once. So there's at least one real 0, right? Okay, that real 0 is 3. Right there, it's 3 because it crosses at the point 3, 0. What's the factor that produces that 0? X minus 3. Okay, now, knowing, Now, knowing what you know about what we just said, how many zeros need to be total zeros in both of these? 3 total zeros, right? We only have 1, which means the other 2 are imaginary. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to find that factor that would produce those 2 imaginary roots. Okay? So let's take a guess first at if I had x cubed plus 1. Okay? If we had x cubed plus 1, what would the factor be?
X plus
1. X plus 1. Okay? If I had x cubed minus 64, what would the factor be? X minus 4, right? How did I get those? 64 is a perfect square. It's a perfect cube too, though, and because I'm in a cubic, right? Okay.
So you put -4 in for x and then multiply.
Right. Yep. Okay. So because it's a cube. So using synthetic division now, I want you to do those 3 problems on that next page. Okay, so on that first synthetic division, okay, if x plus 2 is the factor, what's the 0? -2. Found that on that first graph. Oh, see there, you see it right there? That was, my hand got in the way. All this new crazy technology. What are the coefficients that I'm dividing into? 1.
Oh, 0.
0,
0 and then 8.
0, and then 8. I have to have a squared term, I have to have a linear term, and then I have to have my constant term. Okay? So I take this 1 and I drop it down. Then I multiply. Then I add. Then I multiply. Then I add. Then I multiply. Then I add. Does that make sense that I should get 0 at the end? Yes, because we said back here that -2 was in fact a 0. It was a root, it was an answer, it was a solution. Okay? So, this produces my second factor. My second factor of x cubed plus 8 is going to be x squared minus 2x plus 4.
You just get that from the bottom of the chart there?
Yep, we learned that last week.
Yeah.
Actually, last chapter is when we learned that.
I must not pay attention to it. I didn't know.
No, I lied. I shouldn't say that. We learned that it wasn't last chapter. It was sections 1 and 2 of chapter 4. Okay? All right? With me on that one. Okay, let's go to the next one. X cubed minus 27. X minus 3 is a factor. That means what is the 0? 3 is the 0. What are my coefficients? 1, 0, 0, -27. Okay? Drop the 1, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. Fix. Okay? So the second factor here should be x squared plus 3x plus 9. See a pattern yet? What pattern do you see? Okay. Does that work on this one by going up by multiples of 3? Okay, so that wouldn't be a pattern. That would be a pattern just for that one, not for them all. I'm looking for a pattern for them all. Okay. Anybody else see one? What you got, Kent?
The x, whatever number is on x, is like the square of the plus number. So like 3x is the square of 9. And then
So like what you're saying is you took this number here and you squared it and you got that number.
yeah, and it's the same for the last one because it's
Same
2.
for the last one.
Yeah, because it's 2 and 4.
So then you squared 2 and you got 4. Okay? Right? Okay, that would be a pattern that's held so far. So then according to that pattern, then if we had x cubed minus 64, the factor would be x minus 4. We learned that one a couple of slides ago. And then according to this one then, the 0 would be 4. 1, 0, 0, and -64. And then before we even did that, down here we would probably get what? 4 is our guess. And then this one would be 16. Yeah? Okay?
Oh, sorry.
Okay? So drop the 1. Oops. Drop the 1. Multiply. Add. Kenzie, your pattern held so far. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. Worked out. Okay? So Kenzie's pattern holds. Gotta go slow, gotta go slow, gotta go slow. Okay? So, the patterns that we made developing to get that second factor so far have been why is it not recognizing my finger now? There it goes. Okay? So, we're taking the 0, right? Because that number has always been the 0, right? So we're taking the 0, and it is the, didn't like that one anyways. Working through the kinks. And the 0 is the middle term. And then the last term is the zero squared, right? Okay. So let's kick it up a notch. Okay. So now we've got 8x cubed plus 27. Okay. What is my first factor? Based off of what we did on this one. When we get those first factors, now I want to know what the first factor is going to be here. So let's go back. Go back to this one. Okay? So, we said back here on this slide that the factor for x cubed plus 1 was x plus 1. Right? Okay? We said the factor for x cubed minus 64 was x minus 4. Okay? On this one, we said that x cubed plus 8, the factor was x plus 2. Yeah? On this one, we said the factor, that's x cubed plus 8. That one, okay, so those are those ones. Alright? So, how do we find that first factor? Okay, what about the last term?
If it's perfect square, then
We're not dealing with perfect squares.
you have to figure out what cube equals that last term.
Okay, so the last term better be a perfect cube, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then how do I find the last term of my first factor? So like here, it went from 64, to 4. Here it went from 1 to 1.
Is 4 cubed
here it went from, sure, here it went from 8 to 2, 27 to 3. It is not the square root. It's the cube root. Okay? So to find the first factor, we have to cube root whoa! What happened there? Oh, it won't even let me do that. Awesome sauce. That was kind of crazy. Again, working out the kinks. Cube root. Oops, that should be a B, not an R. We're going to cube root both terms. Okay? So, fast forward now to 8x cubed minus 20, or excuse me, plus 27.
2x
So 2x
plus 3.
plus 3 is going to be my first term, or my first factor, I should say. Now, can I synthetically divide 2x plus 3 into 8x cubed plus 27? No. So what's the only other way that I can do it? Long division. Do it. Long divide that out. So we have, what did we say? 2x plus 3. And that's going into 8x cubed plus 0x squared plus 0x plus 27. So my first is going to be 4x squared. That gives me 8x cubed plus 12x squared. And I've got to do what? Change the signs. Okay. So that gives me then negative 12x squared. Bring down the 0x. That's going to be minus 6x. Negative 12x squared minus 18x. Change the signs. Excuse me. First, change and change gives me 18x. Drop the 27. Multiply now by 9. So that gives me 18x plus 27. Whoa. It's a reading goofy, I tell ya. Change the sign. Gives me 0. Okay. So did we choose our first factor correctly?
Yes.
Yes, we chose our first factor correctly in that it was 2x plus 3. We chose our second factor correctly, or we found our second factor correctly, in that it was 4x squared minus 6x plus 9. Does our pattern still hold? Mackenzie's pattern still hold?
Yes.
It does? Because Mackenzie's pattern was we take this number right here, and we square it and get that number. Row. Okay? Let's try another one and see if we can come up with a new pattern. Okay? What's the first factor going to be? 4x minus 5. I would concur with 4x minus 5. Okay? So let's do some long division and figure that out. Okay? So divide 64x cubed minus 125 by 4x minus 5. Alright, so first one is going to be 16x squared. So that's going to give me 64x cubed minus 80x squared. So that's going to give me positive 80x squared. See, there's that x thing I was talking about. Okay, drop the 0x. Too far in the drop. There we go. So then that's going to be plus 20x. So that's going to be 80x squared minus 100x. Switch and switch. Gets me to 100x. Drop the, oops, that should have been green. Oh well. Maybe I can. There we go. Now we can make it be green. And minus 125. And then, oops, then that's going to be plus 25. Oh, that's a bad 5. Again, growing pains on this new new interactive TV. Okay, so then that's going to be 100x minus 125. Now I'm going to fix that one because it just goes away. Okay, so that then tells me that we've got 4x minus 5 and 16x squared plus 20x plus 25. Do we have a new pattern yet? Let's talk about the new pattern. What do you got? What?
I see that the last number
Uh-huh.
of the x attached to it is one area of
Okay. But could we relate it back to the factor?
the double the factor equals
I don't like double though. Because double to me says times 2. I like square better. Okay? So if we called this term right here, if we called this term A, right? Then what, Wyatt?
Okay, so if you square a,
Yep.
you get the 16x squared.
I get this one here.
And the 25 plus 25.
And if I square A though, I just get that one. So if we call this one then B, whoa. B, then this one over here is
B squared.
B squared.
And then a times b is the middle.
A times B is not the middle number.
No, it doesn't work. If a times b.
Negative A times B is the middle number. Now, let's go back and let's check that on the previous ones, okay? So on the one that we just did, 2x is my a, right? Which means 2x, and I square that, I get 4x squared. There it is, it shows up. 3 is my b, and I square that. 3 squared is 9, and it's there, okay? And then 2x times 3 is 6x, but the opposite then gives me my negative 6x. Let's go all the way back to this one. X cubed plus 8, okay? X now is my a, I square it and I get x squared. 2 is my b, I square it and I get 4, okay? 2 times x is 2x, the opposite of that is negative 2x. So it works out on that one, okay? Where I'm at now. Okay? So, instead of going through the pattern, because we just developed the pattern, okay, let's rewrite the pattern in a much nicer, neater form. So you're probably at the bottom now of that page. I think it's page 3. Or I think you have nothing on the back side of the last one. So wherever you want to go with it here, that's fine. Okay? But the pattern is this. If I have a cubed plus b cubed, that is going to factor into, my first factor is going to be what? No. The first factor. So what's in that first set of parentheses?
A cubed plus b cubed.
No. A plus b. Remember, I cube root both terms. Okay, to get that first factor, I cube root both terms. Now, then, my second factor is what?
A squared.
A squared
Minus AB.
minus AB
Plus B squared.
plus B squared. Now, the nice thing about that second factor is it is prime. It's not factorable when you factor by cubes. Okay? So then if I had a cubed minus b cubed, that would be, what's my first factor?
A minus B.
A minus b. And a squared plus ab now plus b squared. Okay. Now, that might be written somewhere, somehow, in your future, okay? That might be written like this. A cubed plus or minus b cubed is going to equal a plus or minus b times a squared minus or plus ab plus, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't like that when it gets all jostled like that. B squared. Okay? That blue line is exactly the same as the two black lines. Okay? So you would go, if you're at an a cubed plus b cubed, that means you're going to be on the top of all of the symbols. So then it would be a plus b, a squared minus ab plus b squared. If you're a cubed minus b cubed, then you would have minus sign plus sign, and plus sign. Okay, so you stay on top or on the bottom. Okay? You have a yellow sheet. You have the patterns. You're good to go.